Well, thank you very much for being here, and thank you for being here on video. I think you're going to enjoy what we're going to talk about.
The reason you're unhappy, ladies and gentlemen, is because you are focused on the wrong thing. You're focused on the wrong thing.
For your life, you are condemned forever to work for those who do. You see, in life, it's very simple. Either you are working toward the accomplishment of your goals, or you're working toward the accomplishment of other people's goals. Very important. Now, the third point in excellent time management is analysis. Make a list. In fact, it's been discovered that if you make a list before you begin any task or job, you will immediately improve your productivity.
The example. If I say I want to have a house that's in a ski town, but I also want it to be near the beach, and I also want it to be secluded, but I also want to have town and shopping in walking distance, and I also want it to be cozy and not too busy, but I also want it to have lots of space for activities and a yard. I can't have all those things. They are literally structurally impossible for them to all be in the same thing. One, the beach and the snow mountain, probably not going to exist in the same house. If I want to have something cozy versus lots of land and space, probably not going to happen. If I want somebody to be in walking distance but also have a great aerial view, might not happen, right? And so each of these things, that one could happen in a high-rise downtown. Okay. That one, maybe. All right. But there's going to be some of these that you have to make trades. And I think basically like confronting that is like the core element of what you have to do in life to move forward. And so many people stay in decision limbo. They stay in purgatory. And purgatory translated into reality is that they don't achieve what they want. They don't get what they want out of life because they never make a trade to begin with.
Successful, they want to be more successful. The favorite word in our society is more. I just want to have more of whatever it is. Everyone wants to have more, to be more, to do more, and enjoy more of what life has to offer. Human beings are what is called teleological. That's kind of...
It's never going to be worse if you walk through the world believing you are the fucking man. You wake up, you look in the mirror and go, I'm the fucking man. I am the man. There's no one on this planet who can do shit I couldn't do if I put my mind to it. I don't give a fuck how good you are at piano. If I decide to play piano, I would be better than you at piano. And I believe that. I don't just say these things, I fucking believe them.
30s is a reflection of how you lived your 20s, just kind of taken forward. Now, some people I meet love their 20s. They backpacked across Europe, they had all these different experiences, they got culturally enriched, and I love that for them. That wasn't the trade that I wanted to make. And so it would be ridiculous for me to say like, I want that, and I want to develop this very...
Age will damage you. I mean, if you're a millionaire when you're 60, it's not nearly as good as being a millionaire at my age. I became a millionaire at 28. So you need to realize you've got a few short years as a young man, you're fucking wasting them. You need to sit there and go, fuck, shit, get angry. Because getting angry, forced, directed anger is an extremely powerful force. So these are the first two things you need to do.
We have capacities and abilities beyond anything that we have ever thought of in our whole life. You know, if you used your talents to the full for the rest of your life, you would never even use a fraction of what you're actually capable of, based on all the research that's been done. We are right now functioning, according to Stanford Brain Institute, with about 2% of our brain power. 2%. The rest of it is huge, this huge reserve of brain power, which we're kind of keeping there in case we ever need a little.
Absolutely nobody gives a fuck about you as much as you're going to have to give a fuck about yourself. Nobody cares about you as much as they need to care to fix your life. Even your parents, even your friends, even all the people who think they care about you, they care about you. Yeah, sure, there may be 2 or 3 people on the planet who genuinely care about you. But nobody is going to come to your bed, drag you out of bed, fucking drag you to a job, force you to work hard, go and get you a hot bitch, and go and buy you a Ferrari. No.
Is to dream big dreams. Number 1, dream big dreams. Let your mind float free. All really exceptional men and women dream big dreams. They allow their minds to float. They think of what they could be and what they could do and what they really, really want. Here's an exercise for you. Take a piece of paper later on and write at the top, dream list, and then make a list of all your dreams. If you're married, sit down with your spouse and say, honey, let's make a list of everything we'd like to be, do, or have in the rest of our life.
I don't know any substitute for that. You've really got to get serious. You don't have to be grim, but you must be serious. I know a guy that's got a half a dozen jokes keeping him from becoming wealthy. He's not known as rich. He's known as a joker, which I guess is okay if that's the kind of life you want to live. But it really isn't the best way to live. To go from average to fortune, you must get serious.
From feeling helpless, and we fall right into an old comfort zone. Or we get out of the comfort zone, we get right back into feeling helpless. The only way that we can achieve our true destiny is to break the shackles that are holding us, and the answers to both of them are confidence and courage. Courage and confidence. The greatest single limitation on success.
The first question might be, why should you even bother improving yourself? And I think the answer to that is something like, so you don't suffer any more stupidly than you have to. And maybe so others don't have to either. It's something like that. You know, like there's a real injunction at the bottom of it. It's not some casual self-help doctrine. It's that if you don't organize...
One of the major pieces of the life puzzle, what you think about, knowledge, how you weigh it, the conclusions you come to, the values you've perceived, thinking. If you really want to help somebody change their life, you have to start changing their mind, change their philosophy, change how they think. Somebody says, well, just motivation, that'll do. And the answer is no, motivation won't do it. If a guy's an idiot and you motivate him, you got to motivate him.
Are more successful than others. All the work of Socrates was around the subject, how shall we live in order to be happy? What are the keys to wisdom and goodness in life? Plato also wrote about the same subject. How should we live? How should we organize our lives and our families and our societies? Aristotle, and all throughout history, the great philosophers and metaphysicians and mystics, the great religious teachers and preachers and the best writers have all looked at this question. What can we do in order to be happy, to be more successful, to have more of the things that we want? If I say, would you like to be financially independent? You say, of course. Would you like to be financially independent? Yes. Why aren't you? Why aren't you financially independent? You're making one of the best livings in the history of the world, living in the richest country in the history of the world. Why aren't you a little bit financially independent?
Your goals. What is it that you want to be or to have or to do? What is it that you want to accomplish in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years? The top 3% in every field have goals. The balance of the population have either very vague goals or no goals at all. So the question you have to ask yourself is, who am I? Where am I going? What do I want to accomplish? And there are 3 major areas of goals that you have to think about. The first is your personal and your family goals. These are the reasons why you're alive. What do you want to accomplish for yourself and for your family? Write them down. Define them clearly. The second set of goals that you have to ask is your business, your career, your financial, your material goals. What is it that you want to accomplish in the external world? Where do you want to make your contribution? The third type of goals you have to ask about are your self-development goals. And in my estimation, your ability and your willingness and your tenaciousness in developing yourself is the key to accomplishing everything.
Always hit the targets that you set for yourself, but you can't hit a target that you can't see. So allow your mind to float freely. Allow yourself to engage in what is called blue sky thinking. Blue sky thinking means you just simply imagine you have the whole blue sky above you and no limitations, and then you write it down. And then you think and ask yourself this question. What one great thing would I dare to dream if I knew I could not fail? 3% of adults have written goals worldwide, and everybody else works for them. In fact, the studies done at Yale and Harvard proved over a 20-30 year period that people with written goals ended up earning and having a net worth 10 times greater than people without goals, holding constant for intelligence, grades, graduation from courses. It's just been done about the attitudes of rich people versus poor people with regard to goal setting. What they found is that 85% of rich people have one big goal that they work on all the time. Only 3% of poor people have a big goal and they don't work on it very much. Set a deadline and then if necessary set sub-deadlines on your goal. For example, if you set a 12-month goal to double your income, then you break it down into 9 months, 6 months, 3 months, and then 2 months, 1 month. And then if you're really smart, week by week by week, and some people even break their goals down into daily activities. If it's a 20-year goal, break it down into 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 3 months, and then 1% of your activities will account for 80% of your results. That means if you have a list of 10 items to accomplish, 2 of those items will turn out to be worth more than the other 8 items put together. The sad fact is that most people procrastinate on the top 10.
Hello, I'm Brian Tracy. About 25 years ago, I began a lifelong search for the answer to the question, why is it that some people are more successful than others? Why is it that some people earn more money, they have better jobs, they get promoted more rapidly, they live longer, they have better health, they have happier relationships, and yet the great mass of men and women, by their own admission, live lives of quiet desperation? Well, I studied this over and over again. I traveled in over 80 countries on 7 continents. I have learned and spoken 3, 4 different languages. I have spent over 30,000 hours studying, and I've come to a very simple conclusion, that successful people are those who do things differently from unsuccessful people. I've also come to another conclusion, is that you or anybody can be far more successful at life or at anything that you want if you will simply learn how and practice it over and over again until it becomes a habit. Now, no matter what field you're in, no matter what field of endeavor, no matter what work, no matter what activity, there is one thing that all successful people have in common, is that they are good time managers. And the reason they are good time managers is because they recognize that time management is life management. It is personal management. I have never seen an example in the hundreds, thousands of biographies and autobiographies I've studied of successful men and women where the individual has not been well organized and efficient and valued and used their times well. Successful people, winners, use their time well. Losers do not.
And one of those challenges, of course, is the management of time. I've got 4 approaches to the management of time. Here they are. Number 1, ignore the subject. And that's valid. Don't let anybody talk you into what they think is, quote, best for you. Jot this one down on time management. When should you start the day? As soon as you have it finished. Plan the day the best you can, leaving plenty of room for improvising and surprises and all the stuff that happens during the course of the day. But if you've...
Learning how to concentrate is absolutely essential to success. As a matter of fact, it is impossible for you to accomplish anything worthwhile in life without the ability to concentrate single-mindedly on one thing at a time and stay with it until it's complete. In fact, time and motion studies have shown that if you start a task and you put it down and you come back to it and pick it up and start it and put it down and come back to it and pick it up, that it will take you as much as 500% of the necessary time to do a task than if you picked it up and carried it.
Wealthy, do what wealthy people do. Pick one big goal and work on it all the time. And if you do, it will change your life. Now, before we wrap up, I'd like to leave you with a thought to share with your friends and followers. It is this: when your goals are
now, do it now, do it now, I do it now, do it now. Whenever you have this tendency to procrastinate, program your subconscious mind with this automatic conditioned command, do it now, do it now, do it now. The key to overcoming procrastination is to develop a sense of urgency. Be the kind of person who gets things done quickly. Be the kind of person who launches fast on a task. One of the ways to launch fast on a task is to take the task and...
It's easy to get faked out by being busy. Guy comes home at night all exhausted, falls in the chair and says, oh, I've been going. Here's the big question, doing what? It's not the going. Some people are going, and they're doing figure.
I often ask undergraduates how many hours a day you waste or how many hours a week you waste. And the classic answer is something like 4 to 6 hours a day. You know, inefficient studying, watching things on YouTube that not only do you not want to watch, that you don't even care about, that make you feel horrible about watching after you're done. That's probably 4 hours right there. You know, you think, well, that's 25 hours a week, it's 100 hours a month, that's 2.5 full work weeks, it's half a year of work weeks.
Enjoyment for me. I mean, I get into business for impact, and economics are second. If I have enough impact, you'll never have to worry about economics in your life, and I found that to be true in my own life. So I don't look at it quite that way. I look at it also, though, that if you think you're going to really enjoy your life and not do anything, I think you're deluded, because you'll wake up one day, because the only thing that makes us feel alive is growth. You know, when you grow, then you have something to give. And when you give, then your life is more meaningful than just, you know, pleasure. You can give yourself pleasure by, you know, money, food, alcohol, sex, whatever it is, you know, but it's never going to be the same as when you have something that's larger than you that you're called to. It's so like, I hate the word motivation because I'm
a radical underestimate. It's probably more like 50 if you think about it in terms of deferred wages. If you're wasting 20 hours a week, you're wasting $50,000 a year. And you are doing that right now. And it's because you're young, wasting $50,000 a year is a way bigger catastrophe than it would be for me to waste it, because I'm not going to last nearly as long. And so
to be the 0.01%, there's no greater waste of time than explaining yourself to people who actively don't support you. It's normal for people to not understand why you do what you do. I say this because you cannot make yourself exceptional and live a normal life. To make yourself exceptional, you must live an exceptional life. And an exceptional life does not always mean better. It just means that it's so different that most people will reject it. And when that happens, you must reject them.
Take you to an old retirement home. If I take you to a hospital, you will witness, it's very palpable. You can feel it in the air. It's very dense, the pain of regret. It is real. And unless you instill discipline in your life, unless you instill habits, unless you instill circles of influence, friends, and put yourself in a situation where there's discipline that...
You head off to practice scripts, mark your calendar, and set your alarms. The work begins when your motivation ends. Just win. That's from our internal handbook that we have at ACQ for our sales guys. And I want to read that to you because I want to frame what I'm talking about today. It seems like a very simple thing, just saying, just do more. But like, it's almost become an art form and something that I have like a deep passion about, which is very odd to say. But more actually has the highest risk-adjusted return move that you can possibly make within the business. The reason more has the highest risk-adjusted return for a business or for you is that it's so hard to get something to work, right? Many of you guys have tried anything. You have a new marketing channel, a new sales script, a new offer. You try a bunch of things and then finally something works. The likelihood that you changing that thing and that next thing working is actually statistically very low. Think about how many different things you had to try before something actually worked. And so the idea is, okay, I have these limited resources. I can allocate them to take a risk and roll the dice, or I have this thing that I know works and I need to jam more into that machine, which is why it's the highest risk-adjusted return move. Now, one of the other misconceptions that I think is that there's a huge preponderance of people who talk about optimization, getting as much as you can for as little as you can. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The difference is that there are optimizers and there are maximizers. Maximizers try to ask the question, how do I get as much as I possibly can? Optimizers ask, how do I get as much as I can out of as little as I can?
Qualities that you can develop for success. Actually, it's the best quality and the most important quality, and without it, nothing is possible. The great secret of success is that there are no secrets of success. There are only timeless principles that have been proven effective throughout the centuries.
Pin this from a larger thinking perspective, because I will see people stay in these optimization loops for years. You know, my opt-in page converts at 30%, right? This is my opt-in. And they'll just keep testing it, trying to get it to 35 or 40 or 45%. But the thing is like, you will never 10x your business by getting this 30% will never go. It will never go to 300%. It's never gonna happen. But you can 10x your inputs. You can do more. You can do more and you can send more in, and then that will for sure
to move you toward the attainment of your most important goals. Fully 97% of adult Americans are trying to live their lives without clear, specific, written goals. This is the same as setting off across an unknown country without a roadmap. You may get somewhere eventually, but it will take you much longer, and it's far more likely.
There are two types of pains in life, the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. Now, pain is unavoidable in your human experience, but one pain, right, the pain of discipline weighs ounces, while the pain of regret weighs pounds. What does this mean? This means that in life, pain is unavoidable. It is undeniable, right? This idea that you can live life without consequences, that you can instill bad habits in your life, and that is inconsequential.
Do 105 point whatever million at the launch is because we advertised so much, right? So we did, I think, 2,000 plus ads before the 6 weeks out began. We had banked those 2,000 at 2,000, like count to 100, and then do that 20 times. And if you counted, it'd be like, wow, this is really boring. That's how long it takes to count to 2,000. We made 2,000 ads, which takes significantly longer than counting to 2,000. And so this is what people dramatically misunderstand, is the amount of work it takes to do more. Because then I can say, well, I only have 5 editors.
Freud said, for example, that no one could be a man unless his father had died. And Jung said, yes, but that death can take place symbolically. Okay, so there's that part of the idea. And then another part of the idea is, one of the times in your life when you actually realize that you're an individual is when you'll go and ask your parents something and you'll realize they actually don't know any more about
You cannot complete. I have studied successful men and women for more than 40 years. And in the simplest of terms, successful men and women are those who work almost all the time on high-value tasks. Unsuccessful men and women are those who waste their time by wasting the minutes and hours of each day on low-value activities. You see, there's a crowding.
You know, that's also the case that once you hit a certain point in your development, well, it's the same thing we already talked about. The answers that you're looking for are not going to be found in your parents' house. It's as simple as that. Now, you could artificially maintain your dependency, but, you know, if you do that for too long, things get pretty ugly.
10 minutes in execution and getting the job done for every minute that you invest in planning. You will get a 1,000% return on your time investment by taking the time to think through in advance what you are going to do in the hours and days ahead. Now, I'd love to hear.
He's also published books. He's got 100+ companies in his portfolio that do north of $7+ billion a year. And as impressive as that is,
it's actually 12 billion now.
12 billion. There you go. I was going to say. I was like, I hope this number isn't wrong. I looked all over the internet. Most importantly, at least for me personally, is that you wrote books that.
And not just the false enthusiasm of just pure positive thinking. You've got to get excited over some very basic things. One is, get excited over your ability to make yourself do the necessary things. Because discipline is major step one toward personal progress. And anytime a person wishes to, they can make major changes in their life, personally and socially and financially.
And look, brother, you have a huge amount of willpower. It's pretty obvious by what you've accomplished. I have tremendous respect for you. And I do too. But willpower only goes so far. That's push.
Yeah.
Pull motivation is where there's something out there that you want to serve more than yourself, that'll get you up early, keep you up late. And it isn't hard. It isn't duty. It is like what I'm made for.
Yeah.
When you tap into that, your energy level will explode, your contribution will explode. It doesn't mean overnight everything is going to work your way. Of course it doesn't work.
Any one person says, here's the key, be a student, not a follower. Be a student, not a follower. Somebody says, I read this book, should I follow? And the answer is no, read at least 2 books and make up your own mind. Right? Don't be a follower, be a student. Be independent. Take advice, but not orders.
You're a node in a network. Of course, that's even more true now that we have social media. You'll know 1,000 people, at least over the course of your life. And they'll know 1,000 people each. And that puts you 1 person away from 1,000,000 and 2 persons away from 1,000,000,000.
Extraordinary things. Success is doing ordinary things extraordinarily well. So if you just learn to do it well, key things well, learn to speak well. Poor people can talk and rich people can talk. Looks like rich people talk better. It's just learning a skill with a high degree of precision. Learning to speak is called survival. Learning to speak well is called success.
You have all seen this video where you watch the basketballs being tossed back and forth between members of the white team versus the black team, and while you're doing that, a gorilla walks up into the middle of the video and you don't see it. It's like, you know, if you thought about that experiment for about 5 years, that would be about the right amount of time to spend thinking about it.
The world loved, and they killed themselves.
Yeah.
Because they stopped growing. I get this, the half dozen people I thought of in the last 10 years that have done that process. Yeah. So I think, to me, it's not duty, but I do believe those much is given, much is expected.
It's one of my favorite books in the whole Bible. Yeah.
Oh, really? I come from that place too, but to me, the expectation is a pleasure. I think the language we use trains our brain. It's like.
So let me ask you, what can you control today? Well, you can control when you show up. You can control how much you work. You can control the quality of your labor. You can control the quality of your relationships. You can control what you input into your ears, what you input into your mind. But nobody wants to focus on that.